Hello, I'm Jason. I am a non-binary individual, and I'm here to talk about 3 things you can do to make non-binary and trans people's lives so much better. Number 1, put your pronouns in your profile or your email signature. This sounds really stupid if you have never thought about your pronouns before and you don't care what they are, or you've always been gendered correctly. But putting your pronouns in your profile means that people don't feel pressured to have to ask you, and it's a demonstration that you're open and okay with people having different pronouns, and you want to know what pronouns to use for people. Putting them in your own profile makes them seem like they're important to you, and that means they're important to you in regards to how you view other people. It's really, really frustrating when you have people who are preaching about how they're showing up for trans people, but they don't show it. If you don't put your pronouns in your profile, you seem a lot less approachable to me. Any of my professors I've had who have put their pronouns in their profile, in their signature blocks, when they're emailing the class as part of their syllabus, have made me feel so much more comfortable to say, hey, I use they, them pronouns. This is especially tricky with they, them pronouns and other atypical pronouns that go beyond the standard he, him, and she, her. Because if you're just a binary trans person, it's easy to say, well, nope, you got it wrong, switch. And everyone understands how those pronouns work. But it takes a lot more courage to explain to someone that you use they, them pronouns or sie, their, or something else. Because it's not something that people encounter on a daily basis. And knowing that I have to not only correct someone about what my pronouns are, but I also have to explain to them how to use those pronouns is really damaging and makes me feel very uncomfortable. So that's one thing that you can do to really help out your trans brethren. The other thing you can do, and the second thing you can do is introduce yourself with pronouns. Even though you might think it's really obvious what pronouns you use and you've never been misgendered, if you do that, it's the same thing as with the signature. It lets me know that you're okay with me having different pronouns from you, for me to have different pronouns than you might expect me to have. This goes so far to making me comfortable to share my pronouns. I've been interviewing a lot lately, and I really just feel a level of comfort and support from the people I'm interviewing with. If they start off by telling me their names and their pronouns, then I feel like I can reciprocate. When someone starts the interview with just their name, I reciprocate. And that means that they go away from that interaction with me, misgendering me and talking about me inaccurately. And that's just the reality of how I've decided to not tell them. Yes, that's a little bit on me, right? That's something that I could change. But the reason I didn't tell them was because they didn't tell me. And it means that I don't know if they're comfortable with those kind of pronouns, if they're going to look down on me for those kind of pronouns. The third way that you can help out trans people is by correcting other people in conversations that you're having with them. Correcting the pronoun usage. Now, this can be a little bit tricky because in some cases, you're going to have people who you don't know if they're out to these other people. So if you're not sure, don't correct. That's okay. We understand. But if you know that they're publicly out to people and you know that they would want the correct pronouns to be used, just a quick, hey, they use they, them pronouns, or I think you mean he. Just a little interjection there, and it doesn't have to be a huge correction. You know, I'm not about getting people in trouble for pronoun usage. I get it. It's hard. I mean, it's not really that hard, but when you have been conditioned your whole life to use these two sets of pronouns for people who look different types of ways, for people who look different ways, it can be a hard transition to make. And, you know, I sometimes still mess up when I'm talking about myself in the past tense. I might say something about myself that doesn't align with how I see myself now. And I might refer to myself as a sister, whereas now I only refer to myself as a sibling. But when I'm looking at those past memories, that triggers back for me. And so it's really easy, especially with people who have known you before you've transitioned, for them to have some mistakes in there. And as a trans person, I don't want to be in the position of always correcting people. That's a high burden for me, and it's really emotional. And it takes a lot of courage for me. And that's not true of all trans people, but there are people who have a lot of social anxiety, like me, who really need someone to step up for them. And I really appreciate it when my partner corrects people. And she doesn't always correct them by saying, you mean they. She often does it by making the next statement with my correct pronouns, very purposefully. So they might say, and she went to school at this college. And my partner will go, yes, they did. And just put that subtly back in their heads that, oh yeah, that's not right. That's one way to do it with people who know the correct pronouns but are mixing them up sometimes. And then with people who don't know, you might interject with something a little bit more pointed, like, actually they use they, them pronouns, or actually you mean he. So those are 3 really simple ways that you can help out trans people and show that you're being a great ally.